So I thought I would do a quick garden update. These are some tomatoes I've picked perhaps 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I left them out in the sun, and some of them are starting to ripen up. This is the variety that my mother likes, the darker kind. And I don't think they get much lighter than that, whereas this is some sort of young beefsteak variety. Anyway, there's a lot to cover, so hopefully I can fit all of it into one video. My grapevine has just gone completely insane. My original plan was keeping it on this balustrade and keeping the other grapevine going up the tree, but I now think that this grapevine will dominate this entire side of the house. So I'm not sure how I'm going to organize, because this is another grapevine here, so there are basically three of them squeezed into this small space. And now that I see what this grapevine is doing, I just assume that all of them will do that come next year when they grow to that same size. So, oh, I got this cute little charm. It makes a lovely noise when the wind blows. Thought it was a nice touch. So my baskets, my decorative baskets are all but done. The Linaria, I've basically left it on there so that I can bring it to seed. And here are some of the seed pods up here. I definitely want to grow it again next year because it was a lovely flower. Is this the Nyastrum? Yes, this is the Nyastrum that tastes like radish, sharp radish. The snapdragons have pretty much finished. This is the flower that I got from the bank, the only one that survived, and it's blooming beautifully. So it's the only thing at the moment that's doing so well here. My kiwis just stretching down here. I don't know where it thinks it's going, but there it is. Actually, something interesting that I can show here. I bought two mushroom logs about a month ago, and once the inoculated spawn was finished, because it spawns about 3 or 4 times, or I think they call it blooming or sprouting, whatever. You know, the mushrooms came out about 3 times. Flush, they call it a flush, I'm sorry. And then it was finished, so I sterilized, you should have seen it. I had huge pots on the stove filled with shavings from our horse's shed, and after it was sterilized and in boiling water for roughly 3 hours, I mixed in the smaller log, and you're supposed to make sure it's an aerated space, so I use laundry baskets. This one is the pom-pom mushroom, and this is some sort of brown shiitake variety. So we'll see how that turns out. That's sort of an experiment. Right, so this is perhaps the biggest gift I got this year. I didn't know that I had planted, well, accidentally, I threw out a bunch of, scraps from the kitchen, and I got free volunteer tomatoes here, so I got some delightfully delicious cherry tomatoes here. They're on par with the ones that I planted up on the hill that are actually 2 years old. So this is one bunch, and I have another bunch over here. I also unwittingly planted radishes. I'm sorry, not radishes, but what is that white carrot? It's exactly like a carrot, but it's white. And these are the leaves. I've already pulled them up and confirmed that that's what they were, because I wasn't sure if it wasn't some wild variety of something. I have so many of them growing over there. That's the current scrap pile. My butterfly bush is doing fairly well, but it is completely infiltrated with aphids. And they're orange, just like the ones in Manhattan. So I'm really curious about how these guys managed to change their color. It's sort of a feat of science. I don't know if they did that so they would look like the flower, or maybe there's something in the plant that made them turn that color. I'm not sure. Some sort of chemical. The kiwi over here is also doing very well. So, for example, this is one of the white carrots that I was talking about. There's a name for that, I just don't remember what it was. I pulled this one up, and it smells exactly like a carrot. The leaves look exactly like that of a carrot, and I have a ton of them in here. So we're going to have a little surprise gift from nature there as a snack. And these cherry tomatoes are just so cute. I mean, they're definitely not the same variety that I have up on the hill. They even have a more, a stronger flavor, I would say. So the plants here are doing very well. The dwarf quincy, of course from seed, is surviving and finding its way to the top of these strawberries, which have just taken over everything. But that's what I wanted them to do. The spearmint, this is spearmint, it smells delightful, and it's been flowering almost all year, all season. So I definitely remind myself to grow this out again because it was amazing. Everything else here as well, the coneflower was doing very well. Delphinium, we have snapdragon, of course, that goes without saying. I'm just going to do more snapdragon next year. We have the rose bush doing well, and lavender next to it. Here, I actually intentionally left this patch and this patch here. This is a wild butterfly bush, and I think it looks really striking and beautiful, so I left it here next to some, I don't remember what these flowers are called, but they're wild as well, so it looks nice together, I think. And here I have all of my snapdragons, homegrown. Some climbing Allison, which is also homegrown. That had a bit of a late start, but it's doing stupendously now, so it all looks very pretty. Yeah, this delphinium here, I'm sorry, not delphinium. Have I been calling that delphinium? This is, oh my goodness, I can't remember the name. Oh. Alright, well, it'll come to me eventually. And this is the rest of Snapdragon City. I'm not even going to go over there because it is so pitiful. Basically everything got eaten except for the watermelon. I have one little tiny baby watermelon, but I'm not even putting my hopes out for that because everything else has been completely eaten. So same with the pumpkin down there. It's all done. So I basically have to reevaluate what I'm going to do next year as far as watermelon, cantaloupe, all of this business is concerned. Note to self, make sure you have some sort of protective barricade around all of those things because there's some hungry animals out here. But it's alright. You live and you learn. And it wasn't all a loss. I did get a couple of surprises like these volunteer tomatoes and volunteer white carrots, whatever they're called. Now I'm going to show you up the hill. We have a lot of things growing up there. So we have my boyfriend's potatoes over there. They're doing fairly well. Started them very late, so they have about 30 days to get their act together and make me some food. Here my peach tree is doing very well. Perhaps the biggest success this year is the cucumbers and peppers. So here we have one orange one. The cucumbers back here are doing very, very well. I'll show a culmination of all of the growth afterwards. I'll cut everything down. You can see that huge one over there. And we have more peppers here. Peppers. These are a spicy variety. That's nice. This plant is laden with fruit. More cucumbers in the back. And I also started planting my cold crops. So here I have some arugula and salad between the pepper plants. I planted some broccoli as well down here. So we'll see how that turns out. And I have some pumpkin, renegade pumpkin growing there. Some more broccoli. Here we have my tomatoes, which are doing very well. And the cherry tomato. So I think next year I'm going to stick to the cherry tomato because they produce a lot faster, they produce a lot more, and I feel like waiting for the beefsteaks to grow when it's such fickle weather is really not a smart thing to do. My eggplant in the back there is doing very well, and so too the few lettuces I have growing here. So everything is doing well. There's a bunch of lettuce back here, arugula and whatnot. So now I'm going to chop everything up and basically show how it's growing. So this is my harvest thus far. The cucumbers are very large. As I said, this is the year of the cucumber without question. And these guys here, what I like to do with them is slice them up into little pieces, fry them up for a few seconds, and then put spaghetti sauce on them. Because they make a very nice pasta, or you can say vegan pasta. And here I have some cherry tomatoes, some peppers that I collected, and I also included the tomatoes from the deck. So basically that's this week's harvest. This is a usual harvest for me. I always have too many cucumbers, so I've gotten am a little bit creative as to how I use them and cook them. And actually, as I'm looking in the bush, I can see that I have others that I haven't picked. So I have way more than I need to, especially because it's growing in the back there. So basically the cucumber is doing very well, and just last but not least, I wanted to point out this plant, what I thought was a cantaloupe or some sort of, I don't know, it looks a lot like a normal vine, cantaloupe vine, but its fruit or its seeds are produced in this pocket right here. It's sort of like a little spiky plant. I don't know if I can find another one there. So this cantaloupe-like thing actually grew all the way up here, all the way up this hill. I have no idea what on God's green earth it could be. I don't know if you can even make anything out if the sun's blocking it, but... So that's that. Oh, here's a good specimen right there. So I don't know what that is. If I can eat it, I will try. And if I die, well, it would have been worth it. Actually, I have some beans to pick as well. These things are really good boiled. They're terrible eaten raw, unlike the sugar snap pea, which is absolutely divine. But these are actually really quite sweet and delicious boiled, so I'll pick a few off there. And that's basically it. Hope everyone else is doing well today.